You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio. Welcome, listeners, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on BQN and the Fandom Podcast Network. I am your host, Amy, and with me today are the boys, Christos and Kelvin. Patreon patrons, remember you can now watch All Good Things as an extended video edit of this very episode at patreon.com/BQN. Well, hello, Christos. How have you been?
I am great. It's been I feel like it was a busy week, and everybody I know had a really busy week, but I have been enjoying my weekend. And of course, my saving grace is that we're enjoying new Star Trek Weekly at this moment.
Yes, absolutely. And we here on the West Coast do get to enjoy some beautiful sunshiny weather while the East Coast is being hit with snow. Oh my goodness. Are you getting out there and enjoying the nice weather?
Yes, for sure. I am planning to go to Balboa Park and go for a long walk after this.
Oh, lovely. I love that park. And Kelvin, how are you doing this week? And how's the weather over there?
He's cold. He's got the heating on. Welcome to winter in Manchester. I am good. I've sold my first T-shirts on Redbubble. We're off. I made £2.97 commission. Woo!
Oh, we're in the money.
Like passive income, as Kristin called it last week. So for those who are watching us, you'll see I'm modeling one of my own designs today, which is a Spice Girls mashup with the TNG ladies. Space up your life, if you will.
Oh,
So,
I am definitely going to be buying this probably after we're done recording.
As am
Finally,
I think that's a great
as
design.
as much as I was going to swear off more Star Trek shirts, because I have two drawers of Star Trek shirts, just T-shirts.
Right?
Yeah,
I had to
I'm not
do
talking about
that.
uniforms and.
Yeah, I had to do that, fold the T-shirts to fit strategically in a drawer method to make them all fit because it's very tight. Yes.
So here's a debate for you. I don't fit a small T anymore.
Oh.
I've put on a little bit too much in my chest and arms and shoulders.
Mhm.
Yay! So what do you do with those shirts? Because I can't wear them.
I was thinking, what I want to do with some of, like, my old school shirts is turn them into a blanket.
are you just talking regular T-shirts or like smart
Yeah.
shirts? Yeah, regular tees, just cut the sleeves off, make them into a tank, wear them at the gym.
There you go. Okay.
That is a good idea. That's even better.
Or, like, I
One-
don't think you can see, but there is like a huge pile of clothing there just on my little pink banquette. So my old Star Trek clothes that don't fit me anymore, I'm putting on Vinted in my store. And James is really happy because there's loads of room in the drawers now. I'm like, don't be too happy. I'm just going to buy a load of new ones.
You're just literally making space for new ones. Exactly.
That's right. And that is a very smart way to keep your house organized and not cluttered, is if you buy something new, you got to get rid of something.
Yeah, bit of a rule.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that rule.
How about you, Amy? How have you been this week?
Doing very well. Again, Christos, I have to agree, it has been busy, but it's been fun stuff like, oh, darn, I have to go to happy hour with some friends and dinner here. So I did a small little project over the weekend. I thought, okay, I'll post it on social media. It's been a while, not gonna lie. And Instagram, why do they do this? I went to just post. It ended up as a reel. I have no idea how I did it, so apologies. I don't know if I'm just used to seeing posts, and then they have all these different things. Thankfully, Facebook is still good for us old folks that just post, like, and move on.
So when you look at when you hit that little plus button, when you hit that little plus button on Instagram, you look at the bottom of your phone, because then you can choose whether it's going to be your story or whether it's a post or whether it's a reel. Then you.
But what's the difference between a story and a reel?
Or a story, it goes to your story section
At the top part?
Expires after 24 hours. A
Really?
reel becomes like a video that's part of your like a post in itself, but it's more usually a video.
Oh, so a reel automatically goes through the photos.
A
A
reel is a
post is
little
a single photo, and a story disappears in 24 hours?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you
A
for
reel
that.
is a little bit like Instagram's version of TikTok. It's trying to take that market over there.
Oh, well, I don't have TikTok, so
I was
okay.
gonna say you're looking even more confused now.
Yes.
We're trying here.
Yes, thank you for keeping me young.
Amy's still on the season 1 TNG L cars that is just green text on a black screen.
No, I love it. Look at our BQN logo. Guys, Starfleet Academy episode 3. I am loving it. I hope everyone else is as well. So, how are we feeling right now, Kelvin?
Joyous, absolutely joyous. There's something about it that is just very uplifting in a way I didn't expect. Everyone used to slag off Discovery for not enough character development, and it's the Burnham show. And I know you did previously say, Amy, you're concerned that it's going to be the Caleb show, but I'm already seeing evidence that it's not going to be that. It is ensemble, but it's doing that beautiful thing with Star Trek of using the science fiction as a metaphor, but to actually just teach us about ourselves. And because it's dealing with young adults, it's reminding us of the things we've probably already learned about ourselves at a similar age, but makes you quite reflective. So the whole journey this week of, wanting to be the leader and then learning the humility and recognizing that Genesis would be a better leader and sacrificing the position and giving it to her. Beautiful, absolutely. And if more people felt like that and thought like that, the world would be such a better place. And it's Star Trek, and we've not been back in space yet since the pilot, and I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
I thought it would irk me a little bit that we're just in school, but no, it's the lessons we're getting taught. Brilliant.
Yeah. Christos, how about you?
So when the trailer dropped early in the week and I saw that it was a prank episode and it was really hyping it up, I said, "Oh shit, here we go." This show's going to crash into young adult just by episode 3. Here we go. But I strangely like loved it. I can't explain that. Like maybe for because the lessons were good and the story moved fast and even our adults got a lot of character development in this. I loved that there was, Laura Thok. We for a couple things, just being our coach, and then the revelation that her and Jet Reno's are a couple. I was like, whoa, did we know that? I was like, I just had this moment, and then just her and the captain and the chancellor just kind of having Ake, right? Having their relationship develop better in the sense that understanding each other better and whatnot. So it wasn't just all about the kids, but I did not. I mean, they're young adults. I don't want to call them kids, but I also did enjoy the young adult story too. And I don't know why. Like maybe for all the reasons Kelvin said that it's like just good life lessons and it was good to see those little war college kids get it. I was ready for them to get it back. So and I liked how they did it with patience and empathy versus just escalating it you know there's a lot of chatter online though about this episode. Controversial, huh?
Mm.
Uh,
Mm. I mean, I just
uh,
love the haters of those who would like object to a female Jem'Hadar. What are they going to think of a lesbian one? Yes.
yeah. Well, and then the people were like, exactly. And then they're like the Klingon, like we all kind of picked up on that interaction between
Him and
J,
Kyle.
Yeah.
And Kyle, and we're like, oh, that's coming, right? And I'm like, people are gonna lose their head when there's gonna be a gay Klingon.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we've already got one. If she's half Klingon and half Jem'Hadar, that's 2 gay Klingons.
yeah,
Yeah.
but this will be like a full blooded, like it was so anyways, lots of but I'm here for it. I like that, people don't think it's, hey, this is 800 years past Picard. Like, things are going to be different,
Mhm.
and although I don't quite, people are like, oh, evolution. I'm like, I think evolution takes a little bit more than 800 years for something like really big to happen. But, at the same time, um, I'm, between cross species mating and things like that. I'm like, yes, things are going to be different.
I was going to say, have you guys got a favorite character yet of the kids? Did you gravitate towards any of them more than the others? My favorite's Genesis so
Yeah.
far. I really like her.
I like her a lot. I know a lot of people like Sam.
Is
I
he
like
the Caleb's roommate?
No,
no,
Sam
Sam
is
is
the
Oh.
other Sam,
the
the girl.
holographic female.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. What's Caleb's roommate's name? Darren?
Darren, yeah.
Yeah.
Darren. I like him more now after this episode. I just
Yes.
thought he was a prick before.
Right.
But I did like the whole like family stuff and his different look and the pilot and all that stuff. But then getting this more of a backstory and having him see him actually kind of learn and evolve a little bit, I'm like, okay, I don't dislike
Yeah.
him anymore.
See, with Sam and Caleb, like, they have the same problem, but different ways. Their parents aren't there for him.
Yeah.
And so that's gonna be really fun to see them finally bond over that because he's, come on, mom and dad, I'm doing the best and sending letters home, but still getting ignored. And Caleb sending letters home and getting no response type of thing. So,
I think the Caleb theme of the season will be you don't want to be at the academy. You're searching for your family, and then I think he'll find his mum at the end. There'll be some form of disappointment, and then some form of realization that he's found his family in Starfleet Academy.
mhm.
And that kind of
And you could
show.
already kind of see Ake taking on this maternal relationship with him. It was very obvious by the end of the third episode that
Mhm.
he's not so angry, he's not so bitter, and he's trusting in her a lot more.
Yeah, what I am absolutely loving with this episode, it's my favorite so far, like, and it's definitely gonna be up there, is because Holly Hunter's character, Nana? Yeah.
No,
Um, she's our get down when you boil it down, this is where we're at with our capital T truths of, "Caleb, do you wanna be here? I'm not going to force you. Guess what? You can't force anyone to do anyone. So you get to choose. And that choice is going to have consequences. You're going to have this hours of menial labor and I'm going to help you find, so it boils everything down. Oh, and then especially what I love about this, when she goes to the War College dude and she just calls him out. You put your thumb on the scale. It wasn't even playing field between the War College kids and the Academy kids until you gave them access to override the video or transporter or whatever to get it started. So you are undermining the big picture of let's teach these kids how to fish. We are going to raise moral adults. And to have the adults have that discussion, and even she had to with Thok, do you trust me? Because I believe if you raise and teach people how to be moral, that it's all going to be okay. And we don't have to dictate the path that they get there as long as they get there with morals and integrity. And the way that this show is showing us and telling us, like, yes, there's conflict. And I see the conflict all the time in my schools. Who you looking at? I'm going to get you back. We need to hit harder. That is real life. But how do you resolve it? Watch this episode. Oh, it's brilliant.
So, Amy, is this episode resonating well with you as a teacher? Because you were worried, weren't you, that
Yeah.
it's going to be a difficult
Yeah,
thing? So
this
you're
is
doing it in the right way.
exactly what I need. Yeah,
Oh, I
this
love
is
that.
yes, I do too. Very good. All right, now let's get to today's discussion. I do believe it's going to be wonderful. So, Christos, tell us, what are we talking about today?
Well, we are jumping to part 4 of our First Contact series, visiting Enterprise, season 2, episode 22, Cogenitor. And our little synopsis of this episode is Enterprise encounters the Vissians, a race that includes a third gender of cogenitors who are treated as second-class citizens. So, just real quickly around, in terms of just liking this episode, how do you guys feel about this episode, Kelvin?
I love it. I think this episode is regarded as one of Enterprise's best episodes because of the heartbreak at the end and the important lesson. So I chose this episode for us to cover for a particular reason that I've been wanting to cover it for ages. And it is one that I often rewatch.
Oh.
It's a great episode, one that is definitely memorable. You know, you can say the title and everyone knows what you're talking about, so I love that. I still cringe with this bro and the sexism of what is in between the lines with it, but that's an Enterprise me thing.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah, I mean,
episode is good.
yeah. I'm gonna agree a little bit with Amy and completely disagree with Kelvin. I thought this was like, oh god, second season, second half of second season, Enterprise is so bad, and this is a bad episode that just literally is repeating stuff that we've seen before from TNG and other series and kind of compacting it in there. And, I was like Archer in this episode just being that like at the end, his response, I'm like, that is so typically like why I had a really hard time liking Archer. So for me, it was like, oh, this is why they had to do things so differently in season 3 because the show was, I felt a little lost by the end of season 2. So interesting to hear different.
Yeah.
What about Archer at the ending you like? Because this is one of my favorite parts of the episode.
Well, because I feel like Archer does that in so many other times himself. So and that's exactly why Trip is like, you would have done the same. Because he would have done the same. We've seen Archer do that kind of crap before. So he's that first person to be like, we're humans and we're morally superior and, blah, 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 and rush in impulsively and then learn the lesson. So I feel like Archer's been that guy before. We've seen him do it. So like for him to be like so beating up on Trip at the end, I'm like, it just felt really inauthentic. So,
Well, then let me ask, is Trip the bad guy or was he right? And going through this episode, I'm just going to lay this out as Exhibit A. Trip used an ulterior motive to get inside the personal quarters of the engineer saying, oh, my quarters are small. You have big quarters? Let me lie about this so I can go to the quarters and check out this cogenitor. Exhibit B. He takes brain scans without anyone knowing, without consent. Obviously wrong. Exhibit C. Teaches the cogenitor how to read, knowing it would lead to more independence and knowledge, because he says reading is just the tip of the iceberg. Exhibit D. When he's showing the cogenitor around the ship, it's like, oh, let me check. We don't want to be seen. We can't be, I can't be seen with you. Obviously knowing he was doing something wrong. And then Exhibit E, cogenitor takes their own life.
Yeah.
Trip
I
is a
agree with
bad
that.
guy.
Ethical debate. This is a prime directive debate, I'm sure we don't have the prime directive by this point yet, or General Order 1 or anything like that. But this is why it exists. You just can't like decide you don't like this because otherwise these Vissians they're pretty okay, right? But like they're not a bad race. There's just one element to them. They're peaceful people. They're not conquering. They're willing to share. So this first contact, I felt like was like it's not, it's going pretty good, except like Trip has this, ethical debate, which, I would like flip my head and into some of these other Prime Directive episodes. I mean, like Crusher would be Trip in this episode. You know what I mean? Like there's other people who would take that Trip point of view. So
Definitely would.
yeah, but it's like, yeah, you're right. He does get messy, kind of deceitful in what he does to get his point across.
I feel in that first episode, the first scene in the mess hall where he sees the Vissians, all three of them sat together. I think if the Cogenitor didn't look so crestfallen and unhappy, that the episode wouldn't have taken that shift. He got an initial sense that that person was either being held against their will or subjugated in some way. And I don't want to kind of boil down this third gender into kind of looking at them like an animal, but it's a little bit like how some people would feel about animals being caged and wanting to go and, free animals from a vivisection. So that kind of creeping around, using false access, lying, I didn't have any problem with that. I see that Trip made a deliberate choice because he felt morally the Vissians were doing something wrong, and that person has a right or the same rights as everyone else. So in 2151 Earth, there is no discrimination. Everybody's equal. So to be that kind of human, that evolved human, and see that in an alien species, he would have felt a call to action of, that's not right. I need to do something. So it is tragic that Trip's best intentions made him the bad guy. He was the baddie in the episode, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Christos, and you talked about it, like Archer would have done the same thing. Would you have done the same thing? So is this right versus morally right? And can you say it's a right for a completely different species?
I feel like, okay, here's how I would have handled it. Like, I would have lobbied, okay, I would not have taken such immediate actions. Okay, so your A, B, C, D, E, and E. No, throw that out the window. That's not his place to do that. But even if he did, say, a couple of them, like, okay, we know enough through the brain scans and whatnot. We know they're unequal people. We know they're not lesser mentally or anything like that, right? I would say you would let this, alliance, friendship of the two species progress, and you would use your leaders to kind of push back on their treating of how they treat their third gender. They're immediately, and call them Charles. They're not in any immediate danger, right? There's no immediate,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no like physical abuse going on. So you would be like, okay, we need to lobby through diplomacy and, political change or whatnot, or, that kind of human rights thing. But his actions, led to somebody dying and also led to a really bad, like a really sour at first contact. So you can see why, because of things like this episode, the prime directive comes to be.
I just had this crazy thought because, like, is it possible for a society, because you're saying, like, the Federation, like, we have created this technology, we're in this ideal, we have equality, equal rights and everything. Can a society get to that level and still use a segment of their society as a single purpose? And we have the Vissians here who have developed amazing technology. They seemed willing to share, they seem logical, but they are still using a portion of their population for one purpose and therefore disregard them with all rights. And now remember when in Strange New World, when they had the kid, it was sort of the same thing. There's one purpose for this segment of population, and they lift them up. Where in here, they're second-class citizens.
So I feel like if this was an episode of TNG, these Vissians would not be allowed entrance into the Federation
Agreed.
because of this issue. Like,
Yes.
if you look at like that, like, this is Enterprise, obviously, we're sending it back in time, but like, yeah, we could become friends, we can become, allies or whatnot, but we will not we will not accept you into the Federation until this part of your society evolves
Like
and
the
change.
Ferengi.
Yeah.
I would say it's a bit like the Trill. Trills are allowed in the Federation. They keep all the symbionts in pools. They feel it necessary to take them, join them with the other species that cohabit on their planet. Is that not mistreating? I know the Trills symbionts obviously don't object to it, but they are,
Hmm.
it's still an ethical debate
Yes.
in that way, and they're allowed in.
Right.
Yeah, I love this debate because I just love looking at it. At what would you do? I feel I'm quite passive with these things. I'm not the biggest protester amongst us. I wouldn't have the courage to do something that Trip did. I would
Mm.
have too much fear of personal consequence on my standing, my career, my relationship with other people, that I think taking that moral stance based on my own morals is just not something I would do. And I would be deeply ashamed of that if that
Mhm.
ship went away and I would just be dwelling on that poor cogenitor. Trip obviously did have courage or belief in his own ethics to do something about it, but obviously it was the wrong decision in the end. But at least he
Right.
tried.
Yeah. I wanted to get back to, Kelvin, something that you said, like, Trip noticed the Charles sitting, with the couple and looked unhappy.
Defeated.
I mean, the clothing was completely different, obviously not engaging in any conversation, like, not no one even looking at Charles, which makes me wonder, is there a universal display of suffering that, Trip picked up on and was like, "I'm gonna answer this call of suffering," just as Data did in Pen Pals when Sarjenka asks, "Is there anyone out there?" as a call for help.
Mm. But that was
Mm.
a full-on distress call, wasn't it, with Sargent? Because she's saying, "Come and help me." I don't think that Charles said, "Come and help me." That was just something Trip inferred through a visual observation. It's a
So
li
do you
Yeah.
believe that Charles was suffering is, I guess, my better question.
I don't think so, because the cogenitors don't really know any difference. They've
It,
not been removed from normality and are being oppressed. That's just the way they've always lived. That's like saying, does a dog suffer because you take it into your home and it lives with you? Yes, you feed it, but that dog should be in the wild somewhere running around. It's bred to be a pet. So they're looking at the cogenitors like pets. They get passed around from household to household when people want to get pregnant. To us, that seems like not what you would do with a sentient species. And once he found out through all of those scans that they should be sentient, then he felt that call to action. I think with Sarjenka, she was, "Please come and help me." I actually view this akin more to, again, quotes, human rights. When you look at things like Data, when you look at the Doctor,
Mm.
about holographic rights, about synthetic rights, this is humans who are wanting to give other means of life, other life forms, the same levels of rights and freedoms that we have as humans. So if we're not right to do it to the Vissians, were we right to do it to the androids, to the holograms, to the changelings, to whoever we grant
Mhm.
citizenship and rights to?
but that's all within the Federation structure, right? So
Oh, yeah.
that's what I mean, yeah. So like but I think the problem with this is like this is a first contact. This is you know, and the other thing I guess I didn't touch on earlier was like there's so many like T'Pol is telling him that's just the way things are in some other species. You got to stick your nose out of this. Phlox is like, you got, they're
Keep an
all
open mind.
keep an open mind. You can't just come rushing in all. And I feel like Trip just very, like, you had his blinders on, not listening to anybody. And, what does he think he's going to do by like disrupting this ship,
Mm.
because, there's a whole nother planet, right? And they're like, what, 3% of the population are these cogenitors. And like, like I said, the better way to handle this is like, long-term diplomacy and whatnot, not like blowing it all up. I'm just gonna like risk everything for, very, for this one person. So, and then to the point where the extreme of showing this person so much, and we see it that they learn to read, they love music, they get to see good shape, watch a movie and really enjoy it, and they're blossoming to the point that when that gets taken away, they feel that their only choice is to take their life, and that is the
Mhm.
consequence, right? Like, he's not thinking it through, and he's supposed to be, as Archer says, senior officer, and he should know better, and he's not looking at any consequences.
But he
Um,
he he doesn't, because that's very much Trip and his character. He is, yes, he's a senior officer, he's a senior engineer, but he's on the first warp ship, the first warp 5 vessel, the first ensemble of people going out there meeting new species. They probably only met Vulcans and a handful of people before. So the very inexperienced. I don't think this could have been a TNG plus
mm.
episode. It's very Enterprise of these tentative steps and not knowing, in the absence of policy and protocol and prime directive, they don't know what to do. So you said, what did you think Trip would happen? I think he felt that he would be commended for doing this, to say, well done, you've identified this huge social injustice. The Vissians are going to thank you for it, and they're going to educate all of the cogenitors. And well, you'll get decorated by Starfleet. And he was just completely foolish to
Yeah.
think that.
Mhm.
That's a really good point, and it's a point in why I always had a hard time with Enterprise, especially the first 2 seasons. The naivety that is shown, like, by Archer and Trip in this episode, like, it's very naive to think that I'm gonna go do all these things, and I'm gonna be the hero, and everyone's gonna rally behind me. It's very naive, and I get it, it's supposed to be a prequel series, but it's also, 100 plus, 50 years plus from where we are today. So, this idea that people would be that was one of my overall, like, with some of those harder to watch episodes of Enterprise is like, they're beyond naive, and I'm like, "Come on." Like, even now, it's 2025, 26, and if even in 2001, when this aired, we as the audience aren't that naive, we're not that stupid, so why would, these guys be so naive? Oh, Kelvin's got something to say.
Are we not? What about, there's huge amounts of people in the Western world that are of the kind of the ban the burqa argument, saying that women are being repressed in Asian communities because of the way they're expected to dress. Now, that's just Western ideals being put on a society that have done that for many years, and the women in that society actually say, no, this is my custom, my culture. This is what I'm expected to do. So we do things that like that now with other cultures on our planet to say, oh, that's not right what they're doing over there. We should go in and change that.
Yeah, but you can look at countries like Iran where women were free and they were educated and they did dress like, Americans in 1976 and whatnot. And until the men come along and impose this crazy religion on them and put them in a cage and put these rules on them and force them into subjugation, and that look, they're having, revolutions again. I mean, they were in more advanced society until religious zealots came in and, took away their rights. So
Yeah.
you could
Yeah. And then you get if you were raised with this way, of course you feel the expectations. I was raised, very religious and had my undergarments that I was happy to wear because that's how I was raised, indoctrinated, if you will. So I was standing up. Yes, women don't need to be in control of the church because I was taught that way. Um, but it wasn't until expanding my knowledge and traveling more and seeing that, oh, you can still be a good person and not have to subject yourselves. So yeah, with Trip doing that is
I mean,
very courageous.
Oh, amen.
there was a time in this country when slavery was accepted,
Mm.
and it was normal, and everyone was just fine with it because that's the way it was, and so doesn't make it right. It just means that people need to evolve and stand up for what is right, and, that revolution needs to happen.
So that's what we're talking about, rights, evolution, and, not to sound too dramatic, Amy, but if you were suddenly told by the powers that be that all of the freedom you've enjoyed since, leaving the church, leaving that life has now been taken away from you and you're back there,
Yeah.
what would you do? Yeah, so
Yeah, I'd have to fight. I'd have to fight.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, Again, you talked about this, Christos, that it was, came out in, what would this be, 2002?
Probably, yeah.
2003?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, season 2,
Uh,
yeah.
how jarring was this? Now, I remember seeing this first run, and this was a huge issue of using pronouns, and I just was like, it was so jarring to hear it being used for a human, air quotes,
Mhm.
around. How jarring was that for you?
Well, I
It
will
was
tell
to
you,
me. It was to me
uh,
very, very, very jarring.
yeah, it is jarring. I will, I think I may have said this before, but when Enterprise was first run, somewhere between the first half of season 2, I stopped watching it. And only came back for the finale of season 2 when there was a big of a media blitz that they were gonna, really change up the show and what was gonna become the season 3 story arc. I remember reading about that, and so I'm like, "Okay, I'll come give Enterprise another chance because they're gonna really," because I felt Enterprise was too naive and too repetitive, and they're dipping back into TNG stories and changing them around, and Voyager, other topics like that we've seen this before. It's just, and it's kind of funny watching back, and you look back at some of the documentaries that have been made about Enterprise and whatnot, that they kind of admit that, yeah, they were having a hard time writing for the show and whatnot. So, yes, I guess the only reason I bring that up is, the show was floundering at this point, and they were given an ultimatum to do something different, and that's how we got season 3. But, yes, it is very in your face when you call a humanoid it, and like it's a child or a lesser person sitting at the table, or, almost like a dog. I mean, we brought that up a few times. I must get
Mhm.
this like pet feeling from it.
Mm.
So,
What
anyways,
I would say is I only recently rewatched TNG's The Outcast, and you have the conversation with Riker and Soren where he's saying, well, sorry if a random she slips past. What should I call you? It to us that's rude. And she said we have a pronoun that's neutral and you can't pronounce it. However, I would say in this current age of people identify how they choose to identify and the power of choice, there is actually, I obviously won't name names because I don't know them, but there's a student that James teaches whose chosen pronoun is it.
Oh,
So actually, there are people who do use the pronoun it and are absolutely fine with it.
hmm. um, another thing that kind of a little bit of jarring in this episode, and I guess this is the overall arching thing about Star Trek in general is, okay, they make first contact. We're hailing. Of course, immediately the universal translator knows what the language is, and Trip's going in and out. And we have to assume it's the other thing that you don't see in almost any episode of Star Trek is that the universal translator is translating constantly for people. So then Trip is now like, "I'm going to teach you to read," and it's like, I don't know. There are some things about that was making me think like, well, that obviously would have to be in their language, and there.
Mm.
I know they
I
just show
noticed
some of
that
it.
on the pad. The
yeah.
Yeah,
characters on the pad were in alien writing.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that was good. That was
Yeah,
good. Because
that was
I
good.
felt like that's just from a sci-fi standpoint.
And
Sometimes
hand them the
I
works
stop
of
and think,
Shakespeare.
yeah, that's a regeneration of mine that I don't even have written down here yet. But freaking Shakespeare and Star Trek, it is such an overused trope. Sorry,
Well,
I'm
let's
a
real
little fire.
quick talk about Archer and the captain of the Vissians. And I thought just what a great camaraderie that they had between them of, oh, let's share cuisine, let's share, technology. I really liked that part of the episode.
Yeah, and what a strange counterpoint as well to see two people who instantly click and hit it off. So Archer's enthusiasm and early Archer is so optimistic before the Zindi arc. So this is
Yes.
Archer being Archer at the time, thinking
know.
we've made an instant ally, things are going so well, which makes the bad news so much worse
Right.
because of what's been destroyed. I will say it was so lovely to see Andreas Katsoulis, old Commander Tomalak. He was such a great actor, bless him.
Mhm.
Oh, I knew
Yeah.
I knew I recognized, like, I know this actor from something. I almost wanted to go get the there's not a I was gonna research who this person was because I'm like, I did recognize that.
Oh,
Tomalak, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was part of the juxtaposition of when they wrote this episode was we have to make
right.
everything else perfect. Even,
Mhm.
like, Reed and the Reed story gets a little dropped in there too, like,
Even Reed
he's
got laid.
yeah, Reed gets laid, but then that's, like, the last time you see him. That's moving along, moving along. I'm like, you're waiting for something to go wrong with that. It's just like, "Oh, we actually don't go to dinner until we actually know you're good in bed." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay."
So, Amy, I guess
It
you
was
didn't
in
Deadly storyline.
it was
Sure.
intentional that it is not a topic on my outline, I'm just saying.
Oh,
Ugh,
sorry. Yeah.
yeah.
But Amy, that's how gay men work sometimes too.
Well, let's get to our assimilations and regenerations because I will just start off with my regeneration. We can just
Go together.
go, yeah. Uh, I'm interested in seeing your tactical array. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Come on. All of that. Oh, cheese is so sensuous. Let me feed it. Just the. Oh, and when Reed comes up to Trip with the two girls at the table, and then, okay, it's your turn. Let me just hand off these girls to you. It's just so cringy.
Gross.
I like the innuendo. I like a good old Carry On film of someone saying, "Oh, what a big weapon you've got. Ooh, I love it."
So
Ah.
British of you. Uh, um, let's see. I did like that this episode kinda it moves fast, and where other episodes would show us many things, it's like, "Oh, this happened already." That it just happened. It just happened. It just happened. Like, it keeps moving fast. I enjoyed the pace of the episode
Yeah.
because, I felt like that was good. So there's something positive.
I like the side of Trip that wants to look after someone and it not be about sex.
Yes.
So the traditional male writers, Enterprise is very masculine as a series of can you would I wouldn't have been surprised if there was a little bit of Riker and Soren kind of he sees the cogenitor as female leading and he fancies them and that would be a motivation for the way he acted. And that wasn't there at all. He just saw a person and wanted to look after them, again, using the pet analogy. So I enjoyed that. I thought it was a refreshing change for Star Trek and particularly for Enterprise that this just wasn't a guy hitting on a woman to get
Yeah,
like
a
Alien of the
and
Week.
and to your point, I do enjoy if you compare it to Outcast, like, Trip does tell, I think it was Phlox, that he perceives this cogenitor as female almost, you know what I mean? Like, he's not like because it's like, obviously, they've casted a female in this role
Yeah.
and blah, 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 but at least they call it out, like, "Oh, yeah, well, they look like a female, but apparently it's a third," you know? So I like that they go that far.
Yeah. I like the first contactness of this episode because they're, in exchanging and all the different things with the food and the technology and, getting to know each other. I did like that. They could have included more of the cast, like with Phlox and exchanging medical. Like, so that was a missed opportunity. But what we did see, I like that it's, yeah, Archer gets a win of, yay, we have some friendly faces out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy, like, the Vissians are, like, they're an older species, they've been in space longer, their technology is far superior, but I like that they're not assholes, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, "Oh, let's share, and this is great," and even Tomalak is learning something new when they're in the shuttle and he's teaching, oh, I didn't know you just go right into you can go right into it. Where'd you learn that? North Shore, Hawaii. I was living in Hawaii. So there you go. But
Maybe they are so nice. Maybe we've not seen them in the future because they got conquered. Just they were just so lovely, going around sharing everything.
Yeah.
I was like that could have been a Lower Decks episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow up, second contact with the Vissians. Oh, they're not around anymore.
Yeah, they're really poor because they've given everything away.
The Cogenitors are the leaders of the species now. They rose up above.
That would be so Lower Decks. I love it.
Yeah. So one thing I didn't like was the Vissians were defending why there were so few cogenitors. They say there's only 3% of our population that is cogenitor gender, and that's the perfect balance. Nature finds a way of this perfect balance. But then later in the episode, when, now Charles has more independence, like, I've waited so long to get this cogenitor. And so their procreation is being basically mandated. And so you don't get to have it both ways. You don't get to say it's a perfect balance and use it to defend why there's cogenitors and then use it to say, oh, you are taking away our cogenitors. That's not good.
You're on a waiting list.
Christos.
So if you feel like that this is an old species, right? So somehow these cogenitors got beaten down into the status that they're in, right? Do you think it was because maybe at one point they were having a hard time repopulating because cogenitors were more free and could do what they wanted and whatnot? So at some point they were the society decided that no, you don't have rights, you're going to be subjugated because otherwise there's not enough going around to do this. So very, very much Handmaid's Tale once again. Like these people are being managed but they've worked it out now that, that 3% works because it's managed to a T.
It could have been incredibly dark. They could have had some kind of population boom in their species, and they decided if we cull the cogenitors, that will control the birth rate. And yes, that is what they now see as normal because they have a society of, well, just because you want children doesn't mean you should have them. There is an expectation that you wait, you apply, you're assessed whether you should have them, and then you're given a cogenitor. So it's very complex. But you're right, Amy. The simple maths of the situation for an Amy's math moment is that population would be in massive decline. There would be a much higher death rate than birth rates if people had to wait that long for a cogenitor.
Exactly.
I mean, they don't have a teenage pregnancy problem.
Absolutely not.
It almost makes me wonder what happens to the babies that are born gender cogenitor.
Oh, wow. Taken away.
Killed?
No, they need them.
But what if the three...
What if the 3% is being managed? I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Like maybe
what if there's, 10 cogenitors and only one...
Like if you would say the human species does kind of work out 50-50, right? Kind of just like law of averages, right? So what if in a perfect situation, if it wasn't managed, it was like a third, a third, a third, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't being managed. Interesting.
You might have, they're very technologically advanced. They might, in vivo manipulate the DNA so born a cogenitor, which again is huge ethics. And
that would be a medical ethics.
If the first contact took place at their home world and we found a little bit more out about them, and let's say they were aborting all of the cogenitor births, that would be a huge, again, human outcry to say, you can't do that. The same kind of situation that we're in, but they just chose this aspect of a single one on the ship.
Yeah, I feel like Archer would have had more of a response to that because we're finding for a way for it to be okay for the Prime Directive to be rescinded.
Step in.
I'm very defensive of Trip in this episode.
Yes, and I love it.
No, I mean I love Trip. He's he's probably my favorite character on Enterprise. Him and T'Pol. But I just think he's a little too aggressive in this episode.
I do have a regeneration. I will say it's not all perfect for me. This thing about the Vissians and the food smells are more important than the taste. I have a very visceral reaction to food smells. I don't know what it is. I just, baked bread, ground coffee, beautiful. But most food smells repulse me. And to the point where I'm a very traditional British person. If I'm on public transport and someone cracks open a tuna sandwich or something, I
Oh,
want to heave, but I just sit there very passive aggressively thinking, I can't believe they've done that. How rude, how rude.
Yeah.
But things that are acidic, like bags of potato chips, crisps, anything vinegary,
mm.
no, I recoil when I smell those things. So the fact that Vissians are the opposite, I was like, wow, you really are alien.
So you never take fish or salmon to the office to reheat for lunch?
Absolutely. I did go through a stage when I was slimming for a holiday of microwaving broccoli and just eating broccoli for lunch, and that
Oh.
microwaved vegetable stinks. I
Yes.
did it once and repulsed myself as well as everyone else in the office. So maybe I've learned the hard way. Maybe where this has come from.
Destroy most of the nutritional value when you microwave vegetables too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get to some trivia. Kelvin, why don't you start us off?
Okay, so this episode contains the second mention of photonic weapons, with the first being in Sleeping Dogs, where they're employed by the Klingons, a technology employed by the Vissians. So Enterprise was equipped with photonic torpedoes only a few episodes later in The Expanse, suggesting that the Vissians may have shared this technology with Enterprise's crew. Oh, I never thought of it that way.
I'd buy that. I'd buy that.
Yeah. So when Tucker chooses a film to show to the Cogenitor, the computer shows among the available science fiction films The Bride of Chaotica, the B movie that inspires Tom Paris for his holo novel in Voyager.
I feel like somebody made it so that I would read this next one. So thank you.
Mhm.
A Federation built Stratopod, as Captain Drennick would have suggested to Captain Archer, was not developed until 2369, when Dr. Beverly Crusher used the Ferengi invented metaphasic shielding technology on a Starfleet shuttlecraft to enter the corona of a star in TNG's Suspicions. And I believe
Yeah,
we've covered Suspicions in a prior episode.
we
Listeners, go
have.
back and enjoy that one.
It'd be very strange if we hadn't.
Yeah. And some notable mentions. First, this episode was directed by LeVar Burton. Andreas Katsoulas, who is Captain Drennick. Obviously, I recognize him from the Fugitive movie with Harrison Ford, but he apparently also was in Babylon 5. But as we discussed, he is our TNG Romulan commander, Tomalak, which he appears in The Enemy, The Defector, Future Imperfect, and All Good Things. And our actor F.J. Rio, who was the Vissian engineer, he also plays in Deep Space Nine Enrique Muniz in the episodes Starship Down, Hard Time, The Ship, and he also played in Voyager character Joleg in Repentance. There you have it. All right, let's get to final thoughts. I have a final question to ask you. What happens to the Vissian culture? Will this story of Charles ever be told as like a Rosa Parks or a Gandhi to stir up a war cry to activism? Kelvin.
Oh, I love it. I would love it if they did, but the Vissians will control the narrative on that because they left and went home. And that I think this would be very much swept under the carpet.
But there's going to be other cogenitors that'll be like, hey, what happened to.
Well, yeah, like the Cogenitor agency would be, can we have
Yes.
Charles back? What,
Yes.
what, what do you mean she died?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I agree with Kelvin. I believe this happened on a ship. There was only the one cogenitor. This whole thing gets like swept under the rug, and
Yeah.
A great analogy, Amy. That would have been fantastic. Again, and since you've said it now, Christos, I'm obsessed with the concept of what a second contact Lower Decks episode would have looked like. You can just see the comedy of the cogenitors being in charge and having the other Vissians in a cage, like
Yeah,
spraying their enzyme on them and go, breed.
we'll take the kid.
Well, I'm going to choose to assume the positive outcome. And yes, this is a war cry to activism. And we will get to the perfect balance of a third, a third, a third. There. Now, who did it better? We have previously covered Strange New Worlds' Children of the Comet, TNG's Who Watches the Watchers, and TNG's Homeward. So, which is our best first contact episode in this series?
Well, I'll go first, I guess.
Hey.
So it comes down to 2 for me. So it's immediately Children of the Comet and Who Watches the Watchers. If I remove my love of TNG, childhood, blah, 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 because I always enjoyed Who Watches the Watchers. I still think like Children of the Comet is some good Star Trek. And I know it's like very, 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 very early Strange New Worlds. And I'd say it's a rewatchable. I really enjoy that episode. So I'm going to go with Children of the Comet.
Okay.
I'm going to be a little more obvious and go Who Watches the Watchers, I'm afraid. I'm not willing to dispel the fact that it is such a brilliant episode. It's lodged. It's hard to dislodge it when it's there. But it does give that fantastic concept of what would we do if we met someone who was more advanced? We would think they're, godlike. So that appreciation and the first contact scenario of the Picard, it really landed some important thinking points. So I think it's a perfect first contact episode. So Who Watches the Watchers for me?
All right. I am going to go surprise Cogenitor. I know, because I love the positive side with the captains and then your moral debate with Trip. I'm choosing to ignore all the other blah, blah, blah. But I feel that we're getting a really good look at what a first contact could be and sort of the disasters that happen from it. I mean, we get that with Who Watches the Watchers, but yeah, I'm going Cogenitor.
It's so funny to hear you not pick a Troy episode because she has such a strong role in Who
know.
Watches the Watchers. It's kind of funny too, like these, I know it's the first contact series, so duh. But these are also, all 4 of them are big Prime Directive episodes.
Yeah. Which is why we have Prime Directive, because of First Contact. So I guess it's a duality. It's a 2-for-1. 2-for-1 series. Yes. What's happening on BQN, you ask? We're not just a network. We're a universe of exploration, entertainment, and deep dives into the topics you love. Here's your star map to the sonic adventures awaiting you. Let's chart the Star Trek cosmos with all good things. Embark on a comprehensive journey through the entire Star Trek universe with the insightful crew of Amy, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristin. From classic to current, they cover it all. Galaxy class, engage! Steven and Stefan pilots this Alpha Quadrant mission, meticulously covering all aspects of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Infinite diversity. Stay current with the newest Star Trek Frontiers alongside Chrissy and Thad. Union Federation. Whether your allegiance lies with Starfleet or the Planetary Union, Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley offer a unified front, discussing both current Star Trek and the truly Trek at heart, the Orville. Crack open that book with Peter and the Trek Book Club podcast. Delve into a rich tapestry of Star Trek's beta canon. What's the tea, Bev? Christos spills the latest Trek news and fandom insights with an essential LGBTQIA+ perspective, complete with engaging guest interviews. Our visual voyages that you can find on YouTube as well as podcasts are Trek Masters. Think you're a Starfleet Academy graduate? Test your knowledge with Davey and MC's challenging Star Trek quiz show. And The View Screen. Tune in live on Sundays for your dose of a Trek-inspired talk show. Kelvin and Amy host new 8-week seasons each spring and fall. But beyond the final frontier, we have Bargain Bin Gamer. Davey and Mitch, your self-proclaimed gamer guides, lead you to digital treasures, unearthing and reviewing the most affordable video game gems. Cinema Z. Grab your metaphorical popcorn for Mark and Matt's cinematic deep dives, unearthing overlooked films that demand your attention. History with the Szilagys. In order to never repeat it, tune in as Chrissy and Jason deliver bite-sized snippets of historical events from around the globe and transformational journeys. Host Lex Rosa explores what it means to embrace authenticity in the face of societal expectations. You can unlock deeper levels of engagement with our exclusive patron perks. The Hive Mind is where you can join our random script readings, live reaction shows, and roundtable discussions. You can also now watch All Good Things as an extended video edit and get a background look into the creation of a podcast. Also, check out our back catalog of It's Green and Amy's Math Moments. Stay connected to our ever-expanding galaxy of content by following BQN Podcasts on Instagram, Bluesky, YouTube, and Discord. We appreciate you choosing BQN to fill your auditory needs. Thank you for listening. Assimilate the audio. Christos, what are we going to be talking about next week?
Well, we are jumping right back into our time travel series. This is going to be part 11. Woo. So that'll be some fun to have to pick between 11, 12 episodes at the end.
If we remember them all.
I know. It's Discovery's Faith the Strange. If you'd like to complete your homework next week, you're going to have to go back and watch that one. And I know I need to watch that one right now, too.
Yeah. We would love to hear what you thought of today's show. And there are many ways you can do this. You can join the Facebook group, the BQN Collective. You can join our Discord server, or you can follow the network on Bluesky and Instagram at BQN Podcast to continue our discussion there. You can find the links and invite codes in our show notes. So, Kelvin, where can people find you when you're not coding programmable biometric gel into one single body part? And what body part would that be?
I'm very partial to the odd nip and tuck, so odd nip and tucker in this episode. When I'm not doing that, you can find me in the BQN Collective Facebook group, or you can come and chat directly at Kelvin's Timeline on most of the socials. Or you can buy all my old clothes on Vinted.
Is that your timeline on that as well, Kelvin's
I
Timeline?
don't know if it is on Vinted. It is on Redbubble.
Uh-huh. Good.
Getting all my commercials in, Amy, before you say there are no commercials.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Christos, where can people find you when you're not taking handsome men out for dinner? Because just like the Vissians, you've had them the night before.
Well, I'm glad if I got them to dinner. That means we had a good time. You can find me on Instagram at What's the Tea Dev. I've been a lot more active there the last week or two. I think there's been a lot of discourse around Starfleet Academy. It's got me kind of chatty over there. You can find me in our BQN Collective and Facebook, and on the Discord for BQN as well. And Amy, where can people find you when you're not showing people your armory?
Well, when I'm not doing that, yes, I've got the big guns too. You can find me in our Facebook group, BQN Collective, and on our Discord server. And we are going to be doing a mid-season review on Union Federation for Starfleet Academy, and then a final. So be looking for those to come out soon. Now, you will never hear a commercial here on BQN, except for Kelvin's Redbubble. And if you want to help us keep all of our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can watch the video version of this very podcast, or you can join our reaction shows, script readings, and our special patron-only back catalog shows of It's Green and Amy's Math Moments. Visit patreon.com/BQN to sign up and get all the details.
Now, if becoming a patron isn't your thing, you can still support the show by sharing our posts on social media, talking about it with your friends, or hitting the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leaving us a 5-star rating and written review. That will really help others to find the show and builds our little community of awesome listeners.
And at this time, we would like to thank all of our patrons, but give a special shout out to our very own associate producer, JJ Seastrom. A special thanks to Graham Kelly for our opening and closing music, and to Kelvin for our artwork each and every week.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you'll join us as we search out
all good things.